precision. Moments that define us. Cinch, lead, don't follow.
It's a wonderful Wednesday in the Cowboy Commons, the Cinch stage here in Las Vegas. Day number, I'm going to be honest, I've completely lost track of what day it is. I think it's Wednesday, round 7, lucky number 7. Don't let your head get in a spin. That happens in this town. We'll spin it for you. Like Flo Rida, we'll spin your head right round. Welcome to the rally, everybody. Tommy Joe Lucia, Kendra Santos, the No Spin Rodeo Rally.
Good morning, everybody. All of our listeners on our podcast platforms. If you're watching us for the first time on Pluto's Ride Pass, thanks for joining us. And of course, the Cowboy Channel Plus app. Thank you for having us on. Good morning. To my right, the illustrious Greg Teagarden. To my left, wearing her First Lady coat, the First Lady in Pro Rodeo Journalism, Kendra Santos. And probably going to end up being my favorite guest, whatever we call them, Joe Baumgartner. This will be raw. So
people are turning it on right now, I think.
You might want to record this because this will be raw. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How's the world? Now you're going to have to put that son of a gun up by your mouth every now and then.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now he's speaking to us. Now, I'm going to start this. I had a quick conversation with you, and I said, hey, would you mind, do you have time to come to be on our podcast? I don't know. And you said, well, you know what, they call me at South Point, so we did a little something for you, Joe. There you go. I guess they're calling you landman of the South Point campus. You're the Thornton of that group. If you haven't seen this show, Kendra, you said you haven't seen it. It's a great show. And he's a cool character on it.
Billy Bob Thornton. They paid him a lot of money, and they could have got me for free.
Yeah, they could have got you for free. So welcome to the show. Kendra, you've written some stories on this guy. We'll start with just kind of going through the history of
a few.
Old Joe.
More than a few. I love Joe Baumgartner. So Joe, 14-time NFR bullfighter, 18-time PBR bullfighter, and I never missed a perf that he worked on either of those. You were there for a lot of it.
I don't think I missed. We were around each other the whole time, as far as I remember.
And so I know this. He's from Concord, California, and we're both from California.
Yeah.
Not exactly, raised out in the middle of nowhere. And at the Tracy, California Junior Rodeo, you were feeding bulls for a guy, right? And he needed a bullfighter, so you stepped in.
Yep, that's true.
And you
How old were you?
15.
15, and you thought it was fun, and you liked getting paid for it, right?
It was easy. I mean, it was like I come from a sports background, and I think it was just run around and slow down when you had to slow down, and speed up when you had to speed up, and I got paid at the end, which was way better than my steer ride career.
I think the thing that I admire most about Joe is he was known, and this is from the bull riders, for hardcore cowboy protection, and he was not a showboater. And there are, we talked about guys using their free arms to dress up a bull ride and all that, and how Jim Sharp didn't. Joe Baumgartner was straight. He was there for the cowboys, and he was like the human shield between that bull and that cowboy. But there were a few guys who were known, they were showboating, and they would take a hook and verbally from the likes of Tough Hedeman for it. But Joe, nobody would ever say that about him. He was there to save cowboys.
So I've been around bullfighters my whole life and watched the change in bullfighters. And when I grew up, there were guys like Skipper Voss and George Doak And these are people that half of you don't even, look them up, Google them, and Miles Hare, and these guys they did their job, and they were smooth. And they didn't really care if anybody knew they did their job. It's just like the bull rider that goes to the ground. We had this in the PBR, and some brilliant bullfighter thinks it's a great idea to go lay on them. Just lay there. Well, why don't we both get hooked, right? But it'll make the papers.
Well, and another one I would mention from my childhood that I think was known to be a straight shooting guy like that was Wick Peth. Before your time, surely, but surely you know.
Yeah, he was, and it was actually when when he got inducted to the St. Paul Hall of Fame. I was there, and I was fighting bulls at the rodeo then, and so I went. I got inducted, and that was the only time I'd ever went. And they told me Wick Peth was going to be there, and I go, I'm going to go meet that man, and so I stayed out of the way, stayed in the background. Maybe I was in the bar, maybe relaxing. And when he got done, I walked up and I introduced myself to him. And he goes, "Kid, I know who you are." And he kicked me right in the frickin' shin. And he goes, "Come on, we're going to sit down and visit." And I go, "Why in the F did you kick me in the shin?" And he goes, "That's just what I do. You didn't like it?" I go, "You ever do that again, I'm going to knock the shit out of you." And so we sat at this table. And I knew everybody at the St. Paul committee. And so everybody leaves, and I told the catering people, I said, "You leave this table here, and you leave these 2 chairs right here, because I'm going to talk to this guy until I'm done talking to him, and then I'll take your table and your chairs wherever they got to go." And I did. But I visited with Wick for, by the time it was done, we were best friends.
That's so cool, because we're going to get, before we're out of here, we're going to talk about comparing generations. That's a whole nother conversation. But I for many years sat out on the deck next to the announcers here at the NFR, and I have seen Joe Baumgartner. Okay, you walk down the tunnel that goes to the back of the buck and shoots. That's how I got to where by the announcers there, and it was always daunting to me. Okay, down at the mouth of the tunnel, right behind the buck and shoots, on the left is a stretcher, which is, you just pray every day you walked in that we wouldn't need it. And then on the right side of the mouth of that tunnel is a Thomas and Mack garbage can. And I've watched Joe Baumgartner puke in that garbage can 140 times, because every single night before, the first few times, I'm like, "Oh, my friend Joe," and I'd be patting him on the back, "Do you have the flu, food poisoning? What can I do? Can I get you some saltines and 7-Up?" He did it every single time. Why?
It was the nerve. It was kind of the nerves, and it was kind of that would kind of get my motor running, and it was just the nervousness of it. But it seemed like once I would get everything out and get everything cleared, and a lot of times I never threw anything up. It was just kind of just nerves, and it was just like I didn't have to stretch, I didn't have to jog around, I didn't have to do nothing. After I puked, it was ready. Game on. Let's go.
Heck of a pregame. 23 years, you hung up the cleats in 2011.
30. Well, 30 years of being a bullfighter.
Yeah, 30.
30.
So
Yeah.
and at Pendleton that year.
It was 2012, I think, was when I quit.
The thing about it, I was at Pendleton, and I remember,
I'm younger than you thought.
what's the man's...
Wikipedia keeps giving me. That's not.
Oh.
It wasn't
Quit
Wikipedia.
Googling.
I'm not kidding.
You're going to
I did
get
not
told
use
by your
Wiki-
little 2.5-year-old that
I
your
did
notes
not-
aren't good, Dad.
Here's what you need to do.
I
When
need
we
to
leave
just let
town,
you talk.
you need to go beg the PRCA to bring back the media guide, and then we'll all be good again.
Well, someone's got to fill it in.
Anyway, but I was at Pendleton when you stepped away, and you fought bulls from 15 to 45. It was 30 years. And there are plenty of people that all of us know who, walking away, it's not clear. Some come back. They're muddy about it. They don't have peace. But to me, Joe, when he walked out of that arena at Pendleton, he's 45 years old. He was fit as a fiddle. He could have gone a lot longer. But you were clear as a bell. Ty Murray and Trevor Brazil, I use as 2 other examples of people who have clarity, like the time is now. You told me it's time to pass the torch, and you were clear about it. You could have kept going. It's not like you were losing a step, but you had peace.
Yeah, it was when I walked out, I was done. I never had a second thought, never a second regret about it. You know, and the rodeo part of it I miss. Not fighting bulls I don't miss, but the PBR I think is what wore me out. I think like I'd have to, living in California, going to the East Coast, you'd have to get on a plane on a Wednesday or a Thursday morning, and you wouldn't get home until Monday or Tuesday night, you know? I mean, and it's just like, I just hated the travel. The travel is what killed me.
Well, and I'll say this, like there were many years where I was like the PRCA's director of communications and the PBR's editor-in-chief at the same time. And I didn't sleep much and I was worn out. Imagine being the bullfighter at both, the highest end, most elite, best of the best bullfighter, trying to do both of those things at the same time. Think about it.
Yeah, but you know, like our crew in the PBR, we didn't leave till the dirt got out of the building. And you got home for one day.
Yeah, and that was lucky, probably.
If you're lucky, and
yeah,
then
you'd
you're
probably go
on
to the next one.
and go on to the next one. But it was a family. It was different. The culture was different.
When it started.
When it started,
Yes.
we were all in it together, including the bull riders. Like it was everybody was doubting it, right?
And I love that, because that's when I used to love to be able to say and be telling the truth. Hi, Cowboy owned and operated. The PBR was cool as hell when it was the best cowboys in the whole wide world saying, we can make it as a standalone event. Watch us, and they did.
100%. I tried to, when the PBR started, when they decided at the NFR they were going to do this, and Sam Applebaum, was that his name?
Yep. Had a plug of tobacco in.
Yep. I walked up. Michael Gahn sits 4 rows up from behind the buck chutes. And so I walked up to Michael. I said, Michael, I need $1,000. And he goes, what's that $1,000 for, Joe? And I said, don't worry about it. I don't have $1,000 in my pocket, and I know you do. Just give me $1,000. And he handed me $1,000, and I walked to that door and knocked on that door and said, I got $1,000 I want in. They wouldn't take it.
Really?
It was 20 people,
just
20,
bull
20
riders.
original.
They just bull riders only. No outside people.
And here, just the other day, we reported that it was part of a billions of dollar acquisition, right? And now it's corporate now. It is no longer Cowboy owned and operated.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back in the day, we had a crew, because Joe knew all of our crew. We all knew each other, right? If we needed help doing something, Joe grabbed a panel. I mean, it was just different, right? You didn't fly in. You didn't, like, them guys, Joe would show up in the early afternoon, and our guys would be doing something. Joe would say, hey, let me give you a hand. He'd give you a hand. You know, where do you want me to get dressed at? Well, I don't know, Joe. Find a room back there, all right. You know, and we'll talk a little bit more about what I think is the new Karen Cowboys. Kind of this culture. I would call it the Karen Cowboy culture a little bit. We can get into that a little later, but it was a different game. Now, let me ask you, who do you remember fighting? Who do you remember the first time you fought bulls with someone that you thought was great when you were a rookie?
Rob Smets. I worked Livermore, California with him, and I was just a no-name kid, 1987, and I probably learned the greatest lesson of my life on the first day there.
What was that?
Lane Frost hung up to a bull called 22 Danny's Boy at Dan Russell. I remember it like yesterday. And I had 2 good chances to step in there and get him untied. And I tried to keep lining this bull out. And it was just kind of, I got back to my trailer afterwards, and I was so freaking mad at myself. And it was just like, Don Kish, Joe, why are you mad? And I go, because I said I had 2 chances that I could have got him untied, and I let a world champion bullfighter have the opportunity. I said, that'll never happen again. And I never let it happen again, trust me.
And Rob Smith is another one from California. We all grew up in California. I was there the day we were at a a high school rodeo, District 4 high school rodeo at Bellotto Park in Hollister, California, and the bullfighter no-showed, and this kid, one of the high school rodeo kids, Rob Smets, jumps in there just kind of like you at Tracy, California Junior Rodeo, right? And jumps in there, and that's where it all started for him, for Smets.
So you hang your cleats up and you walk off the grass at Pendleton. Did you have a plan?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, I didn't. I knew I knew I could day work around Red Bluff. I was taking care of a bunch of yearlings out in the wintertime. 20,000 acres, about 1,200 to 1,500 yearlings. And it was good, but then summertime would come around and there ain't no cattle around Red Bluff in 115-degree weather in the summertime.
So what'd you do?
Thank God.
Not that night.
No, but thank God for Casey Simpson. He was I think was he the president of the ABI at the time, maybe, or something?
I think maybe, yeah.
And it was the first year they started the backseat buckers, and he gave me a job there. And so that after that kickstart, it was good. So
Everybody knows you're in the shortlist conversation of the greatest of all time. And I've asked you before, like what like a drive, what was the trait, what was, and you it was the competitor in you. I remember you clearly saying, I hate to lose.
And I'm still that way today. And with my job now, I've went into a lot of gunfights with a pocket knife, and thank God those people can't shoot good. I get them stabbed before they shoot me, but it happens. It's still in my life today. Team roping, whatever. I hate it.
One of the, I think, career highlights and lowlights, I think both happened for you at the 1994. How long ago? 1994 is 30 years ago. You had the best of times and the worst of times right here at this rodeo 30 years ago, right?
Yep. Yes.
And the highlight was?
The highlight was that it was the first time that they started with 15 bull riders, and 15 bull riders got on their 10th bull.
And then the
Thank God there was no 11th round.
Right. So you want me to say it? So in the 10th round, Brent Thurman, he got stepped on his head, and a few days later he died. And I know that when I talked to you about it, I don't know, the other day or whatever, and you said I still get a tingle up my back when I even think about it.
It's happening right now.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
It's real because when Joe was around and guys like that, the biggest part of what they were doing was their heart. You believe in this thing you got on your head. You don't just wear it for TikTok. Look at the dust at the top of his hat. You see, when they talk about
Because I got bucked off my horse yesterday on my second steer.
I want to know why there's a scab on your neck.
You might need a little more water.
Same
in the
reason
back
when the horse hit me right on my nose.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
What do you mean? You got bucked off, really?
Well, it's kind of I fell off. But
At the roping?
yeah.
When you were roping?
Yeah.
Is that on
yesterday.
video? We didn't get that?
No, but there's pictures of it.
Cowboy.
It's not very funny.
Cowboy.
I didn't laugh. I wasn't laughing, put it that way.
Were you heading or heeling or what happened?
I was heading, and I was getting out run. I threw 3 coils and run out of an arena. My horse went left. I dallied. He reared and then jumped and
Okay.
kicked.
Don't feel terrible, because it happened to a hazer here.
I'm a four-header, and I was roping in a 12.5 roping. It happens.
That's the best part of the
Okay,
whole deal.
well,
I wasn't going to say it, but there's pictures. They got pictures of it, so I'm just going to come clean.
you started team roping, I think, 6 years ago because you bought a really special horse, High Dollar,
Yep.
and now you head and heel. You're roping over. Okay, you practice with the UNLV team at the Rock and K? Is that
Yes. Tuesdays and Thursdays.
right? And is it true that when you team rope, you wear a pair of boots given to you by Derek Begay?
I still wear them every day.
Is this the greatest?
That's cool. Why? What is it about
Because
those
they're
boots?
really comfortable.
Oh, okay.
They were
it's
a
not
gift.
rocket
Were
science.
they used when he gave them to you?
Yeah, they was.
You wear the same
Yeah,
size?
they did. He goes, Joe, these boots don't feel very good. You might as well try them. And so I tried them on, and he goes, take them. So
I think
okay.
Begay, like,
I got 2 pairs of them. He'd give me
Begay
another
is
pair
the
too.
most awesome, and he'll like just swing by.
Yeah, he'll come. He usually calls me, like if he's going to Utah or he's going to Reno, he'll call me. Hey Joe, can me and Coulter stay at the house? And I go, yeah, where are you at? At your gate. I forgot the combination. And so actually, the last couple times he came here, he's got there really late at night, and so I just, he just parks, and well, that guy eats. Like, that little guy can eat a lot, and how he stays skinny like that, I got no idea. But he likes like burritos,
Likes burritos.
like stuff that you ain't supposed to stay skinny eating. Well, so every time he's there, I know he's been in my truck, because like he don't want to unhook his trailer, so he just takes my truck to town and goes eats, and then comes back. Well, he never puts a seat back where I wouldn't know that he's not driving it, because he don't care. So the other day he goes, Joe, I want to buy that truck when you sell it. So right now, his dad's driving. If you see a truck that says Red Bluff Dodge with a flatbed on it, don't wave, because it's not me. It's
He got it bought?
Yeah, oh yeah. So he bought it, and his dad's been driving it every day.
On the team roping thing, you used to pick up for Groundy at some point, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you actually, did you not like heel for David Moats at Caldwell or something?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
David Moats is a world champion team roper, and this did he?
No, it was
He
Dennis
obviously
Gates.
wasn't
Dennis
any
Gates.
good, or
It
he'd
was
still
Dennis
be
Gates,
healing.
I
yeah.
thought you told me you healed for.
No,
David.
I headed for Dennis Gates.
Okay, well, I put that wrong in the team roping journal the other day, because that's what you told me.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, so I don't want to. I want to. Before we go too far, team roper, and now he runs all the South Point stuff. This, I think we end it with the change and the differences, because there's differences in bulls, Kish bulls compared to today's bulls. There's differences in cowboys. But before we go there, South Point, World Series team roping this whole week. Biggest event to come through South Point, is that right?
Definitely.
When
yeah.
do you start setting that up?
Actually, I start building the feedlots probably right after the Indian National Finals in November. And then there's so many hidden secrets and surprises and just different things that, once again, I don't want to take a knife to a gunfight, so I try to stack everything in, so. And then I don't have to build all the barns and the stalls for everybody, but I think there's right at 1,800 stalls outside, then another 1,400 inside. I mean, it's a production. It's organized chaos.
And how many head of cattle come in?
I believe there's 9 loads up on the north end at the actual World Series event, and then the qualifier there's 5 loads down there.
Wow. How many? And no telling how many horses. Now, I mean, there's parking lots
crazy.
and roping. So they've been doing. They got roping arenas all around that thing now. That's all on Mr. Gaughan's land, I assume.
Yes. Yeah. There's 2 down south, and then there's 1, 2. They rope in 3 arenas, and there's 3 warm-up arenas going on up top.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Before we leave the conversation of bullfighting, can we at least have a mention of this goat conversation that?
Well, I think that kind of fades. That kind of rolls into the new Karen Cowboy League, right? We said on here, and I think it probably ruffled some feathers. Kendra, we talked about people using the term goat, greatest of all time. Cool term. But to say of all time is tricky, because you got to make sure that you've done your due diligence and understanding the generational talent and the stuff that may have happened before your time. Might be the greatest, maybe it should be greatest of my time, in my opinion. And
the most classic example is to me, it's virtually impossible to compare generations. The big example that I will give is, how do you compare Dean Oliver roping monstrous by comparison to today's goat calves, the old timers did not step off the left and leg calves down because they weren't athletes. It's because they were monsters. They were honkers.
They're what their breakaway rope, and the size of the breakaway calves is what they used to rope.
And the scores were longer, and the conditions were different. So to compare, I will say this: to compare Dean Oliver to Cody Ohl it's impossible. We don't know what Dean would have done if he would have roped in the Thomas and Mack in his prime. We don't know what Cody Ohl would have. My guess is they would have found a way to be great, because that's what, the greats do. But to say Dean Oliver is better than Cody Ohl or vice versa seems silly. I will say this: Dean, the last year he was here, remember how he was always downstairs near the puke
bucket, right by your puke bucket.
For many, many, many years, Dean was down there. He held the cords to the TV cameras to keep us all from tripping on them, and he caught a ride to the South Point with Oat and I one night, and I said, okay, I got to put you on the spot. Who's the greatest you've ever seen rope? And I will say he did say Cody Ohl. That was Dean's opinion.
Well, and I think it's fair to say that we're not picking a fight about who the GOAT is. That's not it. We're just saying conditions have changed, which kind of leads into what I said. I can remember when we would build the back pins, and I would know that Kish was coming. We had to significantly change things up because of the way the Kish bulls were. Fair statement?
Yeah, true.
And literally, because I was in the arena running it, like I would have to change my little fat game plan because I was pretty sure I could get killed anytime a Kish bull bucked, and he was in the arena with them. Different. It was different.
Way
These bulls
different.
were different.
Well, even like when I was a kid, Dan, we used to buck the place I lived in Brentwood, California. We would go through 200 to 250 of Dan Russell's bulls a year, and these bulls weren't bred to be bucking bulls. They grew up out on the Nevada desert, and it took 1,200 bulls to serve as Dan Russell's cows at that time.
Wow.
And so they'd get these bulls in, 3 and 4 year old, and they'd never seen people before. We'd run up through the chute, tip their horns off, and we'd buck them. And it's
you couldn't even find guys to get on
crazy
today.
Oh shoot, no. Back then, Ted Noose would come over and pay $100 and be in a jackpot that he could win 400.
See,
Escalon or Manteca.
Yeah, when he was in Manteca, yeah. Because it was a 30-minute drive, and he knew that the bulls were good. Well, one year, out of them practice bulls that we'd buck, Dan Russell took 7 bulls to the NFR. 1 was Grasshopper. The other 6 come right out of our practice pen. 1 was the Bucking Bull of the Year, I think 3 times Pacific Bell, 2 or 3 times Pacific Bell, 1 Bucking Bull of the Year. We were bucking them, and guys were paying money to get on them for practice.
Yeah, but you can't. Finding jockeys to start young stuff is an issue for guys that own stock today, right?
As one of the all-time greats, do you take offense when people throw that term around loosely? GOAT?
You know what? My rodeo career is over. I did what I wanted to. I did as good as I could, and hopefully that was good enough. And GOAT's just a word. To me, it doesn't. It don't mean shit.
Good for you.
All right. Well, so on that note, we'll jump into some daily stuff. I do want to do a quick shout out. You should too. My family at home, my grandson, Asher Joe, he watches the show every day and FaceTimes me shortly afterwards to tell me what I need to do better. So I want to shout out to Asher and Princess. That's my daughter-in-law. And then the new one, Jude, they didn't make the trip because the little guy was a little too young. So hello, Asher. I promised you I'd say hello out there. What about you to yours?
Oat and I got to FaceTime my little Charlie girl this morning, and she was telling us some of the new words she's learned since she's 19 months old.
From watching No Spin?
No, but her mother did say, Jane, my daughter-in-law, said, KK, we've been having to put earmuffs on Charlie sometimes because you've said something she probably doesn't need to have as one of her new words. But anyway, Charlie, her favorite word is oat. And Oat loves kids like nobody else. And she's got this North Dakota accent when she says oat. And she just keeps saying oat, oat, oat. And so we FaceTimed her this morning coming over.
And what's your grandma name?
KK. When I was a kid, everybody called me KK because my middle name's K, Kendra K. So now I'm reverting.
Yeah, when we had the first grandkid come, I was like, well, what's your grandpa name? This was while he was still being baked. I'm like, I don't know what my grandpa name is. And so it come up that they wanted to call me Grumps. And so I said, I'm fine with Grumps. I don't care about that. Okay, we're going to use Grumps. So they start telling Asher this is Grumps, and he's changed it to Tumps. And I probably because of my physique. So I'm
Better than
Tumps.
Stumpy.
Yeah, I'm Tumps, which is cool. I'm with it. I don't care. He could call me. I mean, and then I'll tell you a last little funny story. He likes to do the new phone thing when we're FaceTiming where you put your emoji heads on top of yourself. And he demands that I'm the poop one, which is chocolate ice cream when I'm talking to him. So there you go. All right, let's keep moving. The only thing I had, winners of the number 12.5 Ariat out there, they won $274,000, $137,000 a man. Brothers from Casa Grande, Arizona, twin brothers won it. Trevor and Trey Nolan. So congratulations.
Interesting note on that, they won it last year.
They won it second time?
Yeah.
I smell a number raise.
I'm pretty sure it's coming. They'll be in the Open next year.
Yeah, how long are you gonna let them do that? Any other like notes of yesterday? Things that have come up along the way, Joe, that you thought were interesting that you might want to pitch out to visit about?
You guys ask the questions.
Okay.
You lead me in, and I'll go ahead and let you roll with it.
Do you want to? Have you checked the Tattoo League? Do you want to brush on that before we get
Yeah,
into the events?
I'll do the tattoo. Joe, are you in the tattoo league?
The what?
There you go. That answers that. So in Pro Fantasy Rodeo, there's a tattoo league. Kendra and I are in it. And if you win, you pick Cowboys. And if your Cowboys do good, you get their money. And then if you win, the winner gets to pick the loser's tattoo. And the money goes to charity. And the current standings are, I happen to be in 6th place. Kendra, you're in 14th. So you're right in the middle of the pack. There's 30 people in it.
Okay, my bull rider hasn't made the whistle yet, but
Who's your bull rider?
Who's your bull rider?
let's roll.
No,
There's no need to
my bull rider's
discredit
teaching-
a really. He's bound to just.
I think.
Come on.
Hey, there's still 4 left.
I know. I just don't want him to get his spirit broken.
I think I'm in the same boat as you.
Okay.
But I'll say mine. I mean, I have 2 or 3 different teams, and one of them I went with TJ Gray thinking, because I watch this kid ride, he's scrappy, right? But this new, coming into those yellow chutes for the first time has an effect, and so he hasn't done nothing for me. But I did take Josh so I went both ways, right? Rookie with a little talent, veteran that's been there, done that, and Josh has served me well so far in the bull riding. So yeah, and Kendra and Oates 21st. Kurt Blake, who thinks he's the smartest guy in the world, he's 28th. Flint Rasmussen, who also thinks he's pretty smart, he's 25th. Garrett, who's hosting our deal, sitting at 19th. So
I want to see Flint with a tattoo.
Oh,
That
yeah.
would be good.
What do you think would be Flint's tattoo? If you could pick a tattoo for Flint, what would it be and where would you place it? Ooh.
But you got to remember though, you might win next year, so you don't want to do things that
You can't approach life, I might lose next time. You got to go for it. You know that. Pick a tattoo.
I'm not even going.
He's not
there.
going to go there.
He should get Kurt's face.
Here's what Bumgardner's doing. He would normally tell me right within 2 minutes the tattoo.
Well,
but
don't
the
worry,
filter
I got
process.
it, but I can't.
The filter that's what I'm saying.
I'm
You're trying to
figure
be
it out
nice.
and be politically correct, and I can't. There's no way.
Yeah, there you go.
Smets has an NFR tattoo. Isn't it the Tasmanian devil and
Yeah.
it says NFR?
Yeah.
Do you have a tattoo?
Yeah, I got one. I got a steer's head on my leg,
Where is it?
like on my leg.
On
Kind of
your
where his,
leg?
about where his is.
I thought
and
you
it's
said
got my
on
brand
my
on it.
thing.
No, it's not
down.
on my. No.
Okay,
No.
I gotcha.
That's cool. So, what else do we want to talk about before we jump into the? We got about 30 minutes to jump into the NFR. You know,
What about
it's
your,
a different kind of
ahead.
it's a different kind of cowboy though. Back to our deal. Did you do any freestyle bullfighting?
No, never did.
Wasn't your
No.
gig, right?
No. Yeah, I mean, I was watching it, and they had it. It was 2 years they had it, I think, at the NFR, and then it was done.
Yeah.
When I started. So.
Remember, though, there were some great times here with like Harry Vold's Crooked Nose was a famous one, you know, and it was a pretty fun. It was popular.
There was 4 bad days in the bullfighter's locker room when the Wrangler bullfight was going on.
Why?
And it just, well, because I was the outsider that wasn't, you know, that I was just the outsider.
Yeah.
And the first year Lloyd was there.
Lloyd Ketchum.
He was fighting bulls there, and then Frank was fighting bulls there too. When
Newsom.
yeah,
He's just a pup.
yeah, but
But this was when
those guys were yeah.
But they turned out bulls in the bullfights. So when you go watch the bullfighting, and it's just evolved. Not saying it's worse. Don't care what you think. They all fight little Mexicans, that come out. But I can remember. So the first time I was in a Wrangler bullfight in the barrel was at Odessa, Texas, and Harry Vold's sitting there, and Harry Vold says, "You got enough moxie with you, kid?" And I said, "Yeah, I ain't scared of nothing." And so Crooked Nose is out, and I can't remember who had him. But whoever it was that had him, I want to say it was Ford Brett or someone. Same deal happens. Crooked Nose is in the chute. They're doing the build-up. Ford Brett runs to my barrel. He just runs to my barrel. I'm like, what? He's like, watch out. I'm like, what do you mean watch out? And I lean back, and I had baggy pants on, and he pukes all in my baggy pants, just like you do. And white foamy stuff. And he spins around and goes, let him out. And I'm like, what? Really? So I get the barrel, and I'm walking up there. And Crooked Nose, he makes one round with Crooked Nose and gets by him, and he goes to the right side of the off. Everybody wants to go to the offside. Well, the bull's got the right lead. He almost gets killed, and here he's coming to the barrel. So he comes to the barrel, and this is interesting stuff. So he hits the first hit. The barrel was hard, right? Well, those guys used to hang on to the barrel, right? They'd get on it and hang on. Well, I'm in there, and I'm looking out, trying to figure out. Nothing's happening. I'm hearing tink, tink. So I'm in the barrel. I'm hearing tink. It's the rims. And then all of a sudden, one horn comes in my barrel and just slowly spins it. And Crooked Nose looks down right in the barrel at me. And I'm like, where is the bullfighter? And he sticks his one horn in there and tank, tank, tank. He can't get down deep enough to me. And afterwards, he was hitting the bullfighter's knuckles each side with one horn till he let go of the barrel and then spun it around. That's how smart those bulls were.
Crooked Nose was half human. He was notorious, but
Scared
he was so
the lights
smart.
out of him.
So give people a brief explanation of why that barrel's even out there in that arena anyway.
I don't. Well, I guess I
It's
don't.
in the way anymore.
It's in the way anymore. We used it when I first started in the barrel. Like my dad, when he was in the barrel, they had no padding inside. He put a little piece of foam in his clown hat, and that was it. Which was probably about when he was 70, he couldn't walk. I put a lot of foam in mine. I mean, I was as padded as you could be. And I don't remember. I wasn't a guy. One of the old bullfighters, one time I thought I was going to be smart, and I picked my barrel up and ran in there when a guy got hung up or something. And I can't remember who it was, but it was someone like Skipper Voss that said, don't you get that in my way again. That's just not your job. You get it. Yes, sir. Right? And they run the barrel in there, And so I guess things have changed because those guys.
Did you ever look for an assist from a barrelman or no?
Would you prefer for a guy to run his barrel in there?
No.
Yeah.
No, I'd rather have it just out of the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just another obstacle to have to fight to get around.
Yeah.
And I can only think of one time that a barrelman actually helped me, and that was at the NFR, and Flint jumped out of his barrel when a bull got me down, and I didn't see my partner. I could hear and see Flint, his feet. Flint's actually the one that took the bull away.
Every time I jumped out at a hang-up. Every time I jumped out, I wasn't scared. But when I ran in there to help, right, because you're the third bullfighter, I was going to get hooked. It wasn't at what point. I knew I was going to get hooked. And the last time that I broke my sternum in two, I went in, we were at Gladewater, Texas. I got hooked so high, the announcer stands way in the air, that I remember flying through the air and looking at Clem McSpadden going, when I hit the ground, it's going to hurt. Now, I got a hold of the tail, and when he hooked me, the guy must have come loose, but I always got hooked. So
On the injuries, because most cowboys have something to show in the form of a limp or something by the time they're done. You made it till you were 40, right? Without any major injuries. But then from 40 to 45 before you quit, I want you to explain to us what a plate in your eye is. A plate in your eye, plates in both ankles, and 4 or 5 knee surgeries, correct?
Yeah, but the knee surgeries were before that. I think one knee surgery, the eyes, and then both ankles.
What a plate in your eye? I don't understand.
Well, when a bull's horn is harder than my face, and when he hit me in the face, it crushed. I guess it crushed whatever bone that is, and so I look at Tandy and I go. They take me to the locker room, but it was blurry a little bit, but I could still see out of it, and I go, Tandy, it ain't even swelling up. I go, put a stitch in that hole right there and let me go back out there. He goes, Joe, you broke this and all the swelling's inside your face. And, okay. So they flew me to, no, I actually had surgery here. I went to Michael and Polygon's house that night, spent the night there, and then Michael took me to the hospital in the morning. And they woke up with a metal plate in my eye.
So was there swelling on the compassion part of your brain? Because from that point on, did you lose some compassion for humans?
I was always a dick.
Oh, okay, good.
You know what? I don't remember high-fiving bull riders when he rode bulls. Or
did you hand them their rope and say, thank you, sir?
Only if I knew I was going to trip on it after the next bull buck.
Here's your rope, sir. Remember my name. Okay.
No filter, just like us.
All right. Well, we're going to run through the NFR and run through this. I thought it was interesting in the bareback riding that Tater Tot, the horse that got a mild injury early with the whole back pins crew and everything from Corco, back in the draw, and they win the round on him.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool comeback story for both the horse and Rocker, because Rocker got the crap knocked out of him in the second round.
He got frapped by the Flying U horse.
And he was like, well, it really sucks when you don't even remember, it was wild and it was a crowd pleaser, but like he has no remembrance of round 2. So
do you have any Karen stock contractors out there at South Point? Like, are they like, hey Joe, I noticed that pin number 4, that water's a little low out there.
Let's go ahead and say no, because right off the bat, with our breakaway stock contractor, he come and tell me, hey, I want 3 pins, I want this, I want that. And I go, let me help you out with this conversation right now before we get started. This is my house, my rules, and trust me, it's going to be the nicest place where you're going to stay this year. Just so you know that. We can have a nice conversation now. Is there anything I can help you with?
I'm the land man.
I'm the land man.
What is your actual title?
Pitches his Marlboro over the side.
I'm the manager of operations.
Okay, the land man.
But it's interesting because we talked about the different nature of the livestock, right? 20 years ago. Like the livestock's significantly different in nature that they're handling now at the NFR. I would bet that they unloaded some bulls 20 years ago that might have ran through a handful of gates. Would you agree?
Yeah, Tommy Joe. I mean, it's Don Kish would not get a buck of bull at the NFR except Red Rock if it was today. From what I've heard.
From what, yeah. They'd have been too wild, too hard to handle.
But I mean, you also
maybe Wolfman.
No, he would have crawled underneath gates. Gold Buckle would have jumped over gates. I was thinking about it the other day, and I even told Don that. I go, Kish, you're lucky you don't have the bulls here at the NFR now, because you wouldn't have any. Red Rock would be the only one you would ever got to buck here.
Yeah.
Here's what jumps off the page at me about the bareback riding. First in the world, Rocker's first in the world. After winning the round last night, Keenan Hayes defending his title is second in the world. in the average, Keenan's first and Rocker's 15th.
I don't think he can't. I didn't do the math this morning, but I don't know how he catches up.
No, that average pays too much.
Yeah.
86 grand. So we better keep rolling because we're going to run out of time. I can feel it. Scott Gunther, if I say his name correctly, I don't know, the Canadian, he took the victory lap last night, 3.8. I'm going to say, okay, there's a couple things about this. One, his Hazer Tanner Merlon might have needed this win worse than he did because Tanner's the poor guy who Rod Lyman didn't hit the bucking chutes on opening night. He might have.
He rode him.
He
hazed till the end, and then.
I mean, that's just something that can happen, as Joe is here to attest, and Tanner might have a scab on his nose too. But it's harder on your pride than your nose. But anyway, Eddie, the horse that Scott won the round on last night, the horse that Dalton Massey is also riding here. If you do a little Google fun, Eddie, that was the horse of the year a time or two just in the last couple of years, he's the same horse. There's a video clip that was completely viral from, what is it, in Arkansas, Fort Smith. And Eddie's the horse with Ryan Schuckberg, who's a cousin to Zeke Thurston, who jumped over where they bring the steer in. He jumped from the bulldogging box to the hazing box. Like, it's the wildest thing I've ever seen a bulldogging horse do. That's little sweet Eddie who won the round last night.
So they did a little work on scoring him, right?
And while you're doing that, it's also worth the time to Google watching Wenda Johnson run barrels bareback. Have you ever seen that?
No, I have not.
Full gas, full steam barrel runs bareback. It's wild and crazy. I don't even
Anything
know.
else that our fans should Google? We're in Vegas. Go ahead.
No, Karen.
I am not a Karen.
Bald,
Guarantee he is
I
not
am
a
not a Karen.
bald Karen. Okay.
Whatever.
Tumps.
Hold on. I think we need to the aggregate or average.
Average.
The aggregate in the steer wrestling, 0.4 of a second separating Rowdy and Will. That's nothing, really. So keep an eye on that when you're watching this at home.
Okay, so 2 nights. Yesterday, I mentioned that I thought it was pretty cool that Brenton Hall turned himself into the flagger for an illegal head catch. And yesterday, he won the round 3-5 with Caden Perfili. That was cool. They used the review last night on Yako and Buddy Hawkins. They were 3-6, and they said 3-6. And then they said under review, and what I was wondering from the replay on the big screen is if they were really checking to see if Yako threw his rope before he broke the plane of the box.
Got an answer for that. First one.
Okay, but first they said 3-6, and then a while later they said, oh, it was +10, 13-6, and then during the bronc riding they said, oh, hey, Yako and Hawkins were 3-6. So
yep. First time, so they're doing the reviews. We went over that. This is the first reversed call. One and only reverse call with their review. The judges in the field said he threw his loop before he broke the plane of the barrier, right? And the review team reviewed it and said, no, he didn't, and they gave them their time without the penalty.
Okay, so I was right about thinking they were looking, okay, because the announcer said it was a +10 issue.
Well, there's a communication issue always with everything, right? But the replay guys got it. They were done with it quickly. Like, I just don't think it was communicated.
Okay.
But they watched it. So that's the first reversal, right?
Okay.
Something was thrown in the field. The review team said no, he was clean.
Okay, it is. I mean, think about you trying to head and heel a steer in 3 seconds.
I can't even tie my shoes that fast.
You can't even ride your horse. You can't even stay on your horse and throw a rope. What are you talking about?
Another thing.
Hey, we were going fast. I just want you to know that. We were going really fast.
They got seatbelts now for those over 50 you can put on.
We've talked about guys making changes just because they needed to change. Like Jesse Brown changed horses not because the one he was on wasn't good enough or his hazer wasn't good enough, but he made a change and won the round the day before. Kyle Dennison got off of his own horse last night and looked like a new man. He was 3-7, him and Tanner Braden, but that roan horse that he got on last night, if he looks familiar, is Colby Level's Bartender. That's the horse that Colby rode when he won the world, with Paul Eves and when we were in Arlington, Texas in 2020.
No idea.
What a nerd. But, I mean, I'm like, Bartender.
Did you know that, Joe?
I don't care. Honestly,
I think that's fascinating.
But hey,
Neither do I, but
where's Oat Barry at right now? He probably cares.
These are the things.
All right.
Okay.
Team roping?
That was the team roping.
That was the team roping. Well, I was going to add a couple things. That's the fastest time of this year, I think, if I'm right. And it also tied the arena record held by Trevor, Patrick, Lovell, Cardoza.
Are you talking about record for
3.5?
No, the arena record's 3.3.
Well, maybe it was in the round because you don't care about the rounds. Remember? Rounds, according to her, Joe, round records are just BS.
The record for
Don't ask him. He doesn't care about anything.
Who was fast?
You're going to ask the
Pull my
landman
nose from
this.
team roping. I'm not liking team roping right now.
Okay. Here's the thing.
I know, and my guy missed last night.
Who's your guy?
Derek Begay. I got his boots, remember?
You do
Okay.
have it.
Only
He
one.
eats burritos in your truck, remember?
Only one team has caught 6 steers. So if they literally catch their next steers, Clay Smith and Colby Payne will be the NFR average winners. No one can touch them if they catch with any amount of penalties.
Well, where are they
Their
at
next-
in the world standings? Is that enough to push them to the top?
I'm not even talking about the World Championship race. I'm just saying one team has caught 6 steers.
Okay.
Bald Karen.
What? No, you want to throw all these stats around, but if they win the aggregate or the average, the impact is a gold buckle. And you said, oh, that doesn't matter, Karen.
No, not every time. I mean, it definitely impacts the World Championship race.
Next discipline.
Let's go. Event. Statler Wright won his first NFR round buckle last night. That's, a pretty big deal. What was he, 87.5? Yes. On Jessica Rabbit, 5-Star Rodeo's Jessica Rabbit, who apparently is Bugsy's daughter. I know you guys don't care, but Jessica
I
Rabbit's
know Bugsy from way back.
Jessica Rabbit's only 5 years old, which is cool. Like Jarvis, Cassie Mary's Jarvis being only 6 years old is pretty cool.
Young horse.
So Jessica Rabbit won the round last night at 5. I think that's pretty cool. You know what I think though? I see that family, and it's like Stetson's not here. I mean, he's here, but he's not riding.
Well, they show him in the box. He's
I
almost
know,
like what's the Kelsey's girlfriend's name? Taylor Swift. He's like the Taylor Swift of pro rodeo because they go up into the suite and show him riding with him every time. You know how they always go show Taylor up there at the NFL deal. So
I'm sure he'll appreciate. He'll be calling you Karen now. That he'll appreciate.
Everybody's going to call me Karen.
Anyway, one thing I'll say about the rights, I know it's really easy for people to want, a family that's had so much success, starting with the world champion father, Cody. But I see every night running around down there on the labor crew, Grandpa Bill. Those are down-home people. And for, everybody looks and it's like, oh, the rights, they win so much. They win everything. Everything's so easy. But let's not forget that, their brother Spencer and Callie lost their 2-year-old son Levi this year. And so they're people. They've won a ton, but I also, they're part of our rodeo family, and it's,
And they're a tight family. They're a good example. They look like they've got each other's backs all the time, and that's a dying trait, right?
Yeah, and you see a lot of them. They're out in the mountains. They're gathering cattle. They're doing stuff out.
They're ranchy.
Yes.
I mean, where they live at, there's some big hills where they live at.
So
Zeke and Wyatt Casper going for the average. Zeke's behind Wyatt by 2 points. So Zeke's been consistent.
That's 0.4 of a second.
That's
basically.
Good.
I mean,
Man, you're a
so
mathematician.
riders in the lead in the world, but riders 9th in the average.
We're not talking about the world standings.
It'll be a Christmas miracle if you don't have my fingerprints and a bruise on your neck before
She's
we
going to
leave.
pull the stiletto off.
She's going to karate chop you right in the throat if
Right
you don't watch
in
out. Is
between
what
the
she's
eyes.
trying
I'm
to
going to
do.
have a scab between my nose. I'm sorry.
Haven Medjid and Lil Punch were 6'9" last night in the calf roping. Pretty cool. You guys don't care, but I did see a couple of Kincaid Henry and John Dowd both made horse changes last night.
It didn't work for John.
Tough Cooper roped his calf around the hind legs and it came off. That was pretty hard for him.
Because was he in the average race at that point? I think he was, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
it feels like he's been
Yeah.
solid as a rock. Speaking of solid as a rock, Riley Webb was 7'7".
Go Riley. Go Riley. I was glad to see Haven get around. Right?
I feel like he's been a little bit frustrated this week.
It was good to see him get around. You know, that's the thing. A lot of these guys you like, and you see them, things aren't going right, and you know it's got to be messing with their head, so I'm glad he got it.
And look at Riley Webb in the average. Okay, 46.1 on 6. So he's leading the average by 4.2 seconds over
That's
Shad.
a run,
But,
almost.
Okay, but Shad Mayfield, that's a big deal that Shad Mayfield's second the average right now. Because yesterday, Shad and we had Shad and Fred Whitfield over on Rodeo Deep Dive on the Cowboy Channel, and they were talking very specifically about, they're like, Fred is totally in his corner, and they talk about everything, that they're playing the long game. And they were also saying, Fred was saying, there have been some tricky ones that Shad has. There was one calf that was almost reminiscent of Cody Old that time. Remember in the 9th round when that calf walked out and it was really hard to watch? One calf I remember this week with Shad just barely broke the neck rope and
Went
was off to the left.
hard.
And he handled it. And so I feel like Shad, he's being very cool. And if you give him the right one, remember all year long, we can see him make a mistake or two and still win the round. So.
And if you're sitting there thinking about the average payout, there's a whole nother little piece that comes into this. Remember, we spread the money out really, really well, right? So 86,000 to win the average, 70,000 for second, 55 for third. So these guys that are coming in second, third, staying in the top 5, they're still protecting their gold buckle race.
And it impacts 2 gold buckles potentially for Shad. We better roll. We ran out of time so fast. Cassie, Mowry, and Jarvis were 13:25 last night. Is this their 3rd round in a row?
Yeah,
So
Haley did the first 3, they did the next 3, she
only
did the next 3.
2 barrel racers in 6 rounds have taken a victory lap. That's wild. Do you watch the barrel race?
No.
You're too busy puking.
I'm already in bed.
You've never owned a barrel horse? You got 3 minutes. Have you ever owned a barrel horse?
Me personally?
Yeah, you personally, landman.
Come watch the 9 roping on Saturday.
Oh, that's what you was riding when you got thrown off. Okay.
No, that was a cutting horse reject. But this.
All right.
Okay, Josh Frost, Maybe Jones, baby Maybe Jones, daddy won the round. He was 90 last night. Bill Fick surprised Pickett Pro Rodeo's Bowl. I don't know. It's looking awfully good for Mr. Josh. My first NFR that I worked was 1987 when Lane won it. They were second cousins. Josh is just like, I'm going for the rounds. Josh is his mindset is so simple and straightforward. I mean,
I think this guy's probably got some.
No,
I figure we'll have a little bull riding conversation.
No, it's his turn. I mean,
Who's the best bull rider right in that group?
I'm going to say Josh is.
Yeah,
I think he is. But I'll guarantee you this country better watch out for Utah. Because Utah, like we talked a little earlier, they got some bull riders coming up. They're going to be the salvation of the bull riding world, I think.
Well, Josh has got the world standings. I know you don't care about this, Kendra, but he's got the world standings by 70 grand. And he's got the average, by 100 points, is it? No,
well, but we
80
start
points?
counting numbers of bowls, right, at this point. So Josh has ridden 5 of 6. Nobody else has. So again, if Josh,
just keeps riding.
Yeah, just keep making the whistle, which is his calling card, then good luck, because you can't beat him.
All right. Well, really cool, Joe. Thanks for taking time off of team roping and watering and making. How big a crew you got out there? How many people work underneath the landman?
I got about 5 right now.
5.
To handle
3 in
all
the
that.
3 in the morning. Heck, I got 6. 3 in the morning, 3 at night.
Yeah.
3 in the afternoon.
Can you find good help nowadays?
I'll tell you what.
You better not say that,
No,
'cause
I'll
they
tell you
might
what, No, I
leave.
probably do got the best crew that I've ever had.
That's
right now.
good.
Yeah.
That's good news. That's really good news. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Thank you for being so kind and emotional and good. And thank you, Kendra, for scolding me. And
feel like
thank you, Greg, for saying
like I
nothing.
disappointed you guys.
I can't get a word in edgewise.
No, thank you for saving bull riders' lives for 30 years.
Well, you're welcome.
'Cause that's a
You're
big deal.
welcome.
Well, he's just a cool dude. I mean, everybody that knew Joe, he's a
It
cool
was a
dude.
job.
Thanks,
you know?
thanks
I
for
mean,
being.
It was my job.
He's a,
Well,
That's
you did
what
a
it
hell
was,
of a
so.
job.
He's
Thank
one of the
you.
original studs. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for joining us for episode 42. This has No Spin Rodeo. We'll see you tomorrow for the No Spin Rodeo Rally right here in Cowboy Commons.